You are a master creator in the making. You want it to go faster. You want to make that quantum leap. You want to manifest your person or whatever it is that you want. But here's the thing about when you want to manifest and when you want to manifest faster, and especially when you want to make those big changes, those big manifestations, and those big quantum leaps, is somehow the old stuff starts creeping up, or it keeps creeping up, or it's finding places in your awareness, in your consciousness, in your mind, in your body, in your thoughts, where you're like, what is that? Why am I back in that old state again? So I'm going to cover this in this video, what to do. First of all, how to recognize when these things are happening, and then like, what do you do about it, right? So that you can continue grounding your new God state, and continue grounding your end into the physical world so that you can get those real world manifested results that you want. All right, so if you don't know already, I'm going live 5 days a week on my channel, so make sure that you subscribe, hit that bell, and click all so that you know every time that I'm going live. And watch till the end because we're going to get into it. So this is a very, very common thing where you're entertaining a new reality and you're making some shifts vibrationally, and you're practicing this new way of thinking that supports your ultimate manifestation because you want to ground it into the physical. You want those manifestations to pop into reality for you, and you want to make a quantum leap. Here's the thing that is going to happen. It is completely normal. And I think that if you don't know this, I think that you're just going to, like go down that rabbit hole and think that you're a failure and think that you've done something wrong and start doing all that kind of stuff. Don't do that. Okay. It is completely normal for old thoughts, old feelings, old stuff, old ways of being, even in your body to show up. So mind, body, and emotion, old stuff might show up. Here is the difference, is that once you start adopting and saying that I want to adopt this new state, I want to adopt this new reality, I agree to quantum leap into this new world. You still have choices. Now, before you actually got on board and grabbed a hold of that new idea, that new state, that new vibration, before you committed to that path of manifesting something new, whether it be with your specific person, whether it's a job, money, no matter what it is that you want to change or attract, it's not about circumstances. It's about you making the choices. So before you made that choice, you can kind of be in this human victim mode state and have this blind spot where you didn't necessarily recognize that, oh, that's just a belief and I can change it, right? So it's one thing to know that you can change your reality and to know that your reality is created based on your belief systems, but it's a totally another thing when you don't realize that this belief and this thought and this feeling is a choice, right? So that's the first step, is recognizing that, oh, that doesn't have to be real. I don't have to believe in that circumstance or in that limitation. I can actually choose to believe something new. So that's the first step. But the second step is continuing to go in that vibration, in that train of thought, and create that new habit where you are really exercising your freedom to create this new thing that you want. And that means initially that you take those old thoughts, those old feelings, those old habits of being, and the old state that sort of is there or might creep up on you, and you continue noticing that this is a choice, right? Not that this thing has any power over you, not that it's come back to haunt you, but you recognize that, oh, I don't think that way anymore. I don't believe that anymore. That thing's not real to me anymore. And even if you're having reactions in your body come up, so I'll notice this about people. I've worked with many, many, many people one-on-one. I've had many clients. I've done many, masterminds, and I have the coaching group. I work with lots and lots and lots of people over the years. Okay. And myself included as well. So it is completely normal that you'll be experiencing like old emotions coming up. Sometimes when you're going into the new reality, those old emotions they don't even have a foundation or a leg to stand on, unless if you aren't continuing to choose the new. So for instance, like one day I was washing dishes, like, I guess years ago, and I was like, "Oh," I was hearing and looking at my thoughts, right? Because we're manifesting here, and I was like, "Oh, like, I don't feel good today." Like, I meant emotionally, not physically. It was like, "Oh, I'm not in a great mood today." And then I looked at that thought, and I looked at myself, and I thought to myself, I was like, "Really?" And I questioned it. Because the first thing that you want to do is, is that just my automatic record, like habitual human unconscious mind running and telling me that I don't feel good because the body and the mind is kind of used to being that way or feeling that way? Or is there really actually something wrong? That is the first step, okay, that you want to do when it comes to grounding into the physical with this extra awareness in the mind, body, and emotion. You want to question what's coming up on all of those fronts, physically, thought-wise, mentally, and emotionally. Oh, really? Really? I don't feel good? And I noticed that there was nothing behind it. There's nothing behind it. It's like, why? Not everything is actually fine. I think I actually feel fine. I think I actually feel all right. I think that I actually feel good. That is awareness taking over and you using your freedom of choice to ground into the physical, your new path, your new state, and your new manifested reality. Okay, so it's just like basically this freedom of choice, because in the subconscious mind and the way that we function, not really with much awareness, right? A lot of what we do, we're just like not really looking at that very much. You start looking at that when you start changing your choices about what you're going to manifest. And when you start functioning from victim mode, which is, I can't do anything about it, human mode, where you don't realize that you have choices, to moving into a God state, which is a creative state where you're actively aware of what you're feeling and thinking and doing, and you're making new choices based on that newfound awareness. This is very, very, very important. I think that a lot of people, they get hyped up with manifesting. Oh, yeah, I need to feel good, or I want to feel good, or and they don't know how to continue and reinforce and commit to the cycle, like the new cycle that you want to create, getting out of the old cycles that you want to create so that you can get those real world manifested results. But it's just like, it just comes down to a free will. Now, so the first thing, like I said, you want to make sure that you're questioning everything that's happening and see if there's really something behind it, because there might be nothing behind it besides lack of awareness and habit, right? So sometimes you can, again, you got to know this, you can be experiencing something and it doesn't mean anything. So look at this in terms of manifesting. When it comes to manifesting, you get what you define as real. Okay, so your definitions create, that means your beliefs create what you believe. So if you're experiencing something, whatever you believe about what you're experiencing is what you're going to get out of it. So if you say, "Oh, I'm not feeling too hot today," or "I'm not feeling like this," or "I'm not feeling like that," the victim, human, unaware consciousness running by itself, wake up to that. Start asking yourself, "Oh, what's really going on?" I think I'm actually freaking fine. I think that I can, and you kind of start being more deliberate about what you're creating right now and putting into your future. Oh my God, look at that. Deliberate creation from God's state. You are a creator, and that is a moment to moment thing, and it requires awareness so that you know how to utilize your free will to create the reality that you want. Fuck circumstances, no fucks given, right? That's God's state, guys. And it's really more automatic than you think. Although you want to stay consistent so that you can stay consistently aware of the new choices that you have the ability to make, instead of allowing yourself to become a mummy or a zombie again who doesn't recognize the choices that you have, right? So in manifesting, first we decide where we're going to go, and then we decide to remain aware that we're going in that direction. And then it's kind of like you're rejecting any thoughts or experiences on any level of your being that are not congruent with that new path and that new state and that new reality that you know that you want to manifest. So one way to help yourself like sift through and make decisions about how you're going to move forward in your thinking and in your feeling and everything is like, oh, like, would this feeling or thought be relevant if I was already in my end, and if it was already manifested in the real world? Would I even be thinking or feeling this? And if the answer is no, then whatever that old thing is that's coming up is completely irrelevant, and you can just let it go. Now, the other side to this is that, we're talking about just unconscious, like, oh, how do I, becoming aware so that you can be a deliberate creator in every moment and take yourself where you want to go moment to moment. That's God's state, right? Being aware. Um, Now, you might come across things that come up that actually are relevant. Okay. And so for those things, there's processes for that. This is like how to remove your blocks, and I've done, I did the floodgates of love. The floodgates of love covered that, and I've been talking about it, in my coaching group and my programs and lessons and stuff. So that's an important thing too, but that's not what we're talking about today. Today we're just talking about getting you out of old habits of mind and thought that sort of, it's like they suck you back into your old way of being so that you can't ground your new state, your new God state, your new the state of the reality that you want to ground into the physical, right? Anything that keeps that from happening. Surprisingly, a lot of this is stuff that you can control, and that doesn't actually, have a function anymore from your new state. And so it's just very important to be very mindful of that. What I notice is that another thing that keeps people from, if you're experiencing a roller coaster in your manifesting life, and you feel like you make some progress and then you're back in the dumps, and then you make some progress, you're back in the hole, and then you make some progress and then you want to give up again. There's something about the bridge of events that you don't quite know how to navigate properly. And what I mean is, like, once you make the decision to go in that new reality, new state, you choose to make that quantum leap or to manifest the thing that you want, you will be guided, or like there will be new options available to you in your mind and your emotions and in your being, right? Like physical actions that you can take as well, that you will be what? Inspired to. A lot of people start, I don't know exactly what it is. I think that it's like you're not honing enough awareness to be able to follow the breadcrumb trail so that you can start thinking the new thoughts, feeling the new things, dismissing everything else that's not in alignment, and then actually taking the inspired actions that will ground this new reality into the physical for you. I think that action is something that needs to really be talked about. And this is something that people have a lot of questions about. Like probably the number one question in manifesting, when people are, asking from a human state, they're like, what do I do? That's like the number one question. This is happening. What do I do? It's like a circumstantially based question. So you see the problem with that, right? So the human asks, what do I do? So what do you think, if you're coming from that urgent, it's a lack, human victim mentality space of what do I do? What do you think is going to happen when you start trying from that state to take action to fix the thing that you think needs fixing? You're going to get the human, circumstantial, victim mindset, lack result when you take action from that place. Okay. So, and that's what most people do. What do I do? And then what do I need to do? Where's the vibration in that? Where's the God state in that? Where is the grounding yourself back into the reality of your choosing and knowing that there's nothing that you have to do? So, in order for you to completely make the leap into the new reality so that it manifests into the physical, you have to learn how to be in that God state enough versus the human victim state. You have to learn how to be in God state enough so that you can receive the inspired action that comes from God creative state and is in alignment with God creative state. What happens when you ground into the physical inspired actions? So you ground the new state with your action, right? That's how it becomes physical. What happens when you do that from a God state? When you start taking action from an inspired God state as part of the bridge of events? Oh, that yields the deliberately creative manifested results that you want actually in the physical. So, this is a very, very big difference. If you're not aware of how you're allowing habits to creep back in, how you're not actually moving your vibration, how you're not actually grounding your new state, you're not going to ground the manifestation either. Okay. Um, and I think that a lot of people just don't really know how to take action from the right place. And you got to back up a lot for this because, like I said, you first got to be in the right state in order to take the right action, you know? So there's a lot more to this. This is the whole of manifesting, right? You want to get into the right state so that you can think and feel and then do all the right things that are going to ground in the physical what you want. This is how you do it fast, right? Is by learning how to execute and utilize that free will to keep, not just keep, like, you don't just choose a new reality right now and then you're like, oh yeah, like, it can't, right? If you are in a place where you've manifested yourself to be in a place where you can set it and forget it and just know it and it's not a problem for you anymore, you can also do that. But for some people, it's a little bit more of a process, the continuation of the choosing of that path and clearing the path by clearing the old habits and stuff and taking new actions and everything. So anyways, this is all stuff that I'm going to be covering today in my God state course that I'm doing. It's called Siren. I'm doing Siren this month. It's basically like all the mechanics and everything about God state, what keeps people from getting into God state, how to get into God state, how to prepare yourself for God state, but then how to ground it into the physical is what we're going to talk about today. If you want to join for those deeper teachings, I cover as much as I can on YouTube, but I can't do like the full lessons on you. You know what I mean? Like, I have programs that I'm doing in the Manifesting University every month, and I'm always giving more than you think in the university. So commitment, practice, dedication, and yeah, that continual reinforcement is really important. So anyways, guys, if you want to join me, I'm going live today in the group to talk about it. That link is going to be in the description below. If you haven't already, make sure that you subscribe, hit that bell, and click all so that you know every time that I'm going live. And I'll see you either in the group or tomorrow. Later.